Nottingham Forest have just done the unthinkable, sacking Nuno Espirito Santo after only 3 games and replacing him with Ange Postecoglou. Now this is a complete change in tactics, and will this change pay off or be a complete and utter disaster? Well, today we are doing a full Realism FM24 rebuild on an updated database of all the current Nottingham Forest transfers. Yes, all the mental ones they made in the summer are going to be in this video, but not only that, of course we've got to make new updated Ange Postecoglou Nottingham Forest tactics, and we're going to be doing a 5-season challenge to see if the signing of Ange as new manager is going to be worth it for Forest, if we can make them European champions once again, or if it's going to be a complete and utter fail. So grab yourself some popcorn as we look to rebuild Forest with the mighty Ange Postecoglou. And here we are then with a database of all of these transfers updated and on there. And part of the reason why Nuno was sacked is because he didn't want some of these players at his club. It is quite clear that Edu and Maracanaris are in charge of transfers. But today we're going to be doing a little bit of that using full Realism with transfers, but I'll be making the transfers myself and seeing if we can make Ange Postecoglou's Forest tactics actually work, because these are the tactics we'll be deploying in today's video. I'll go through them a little bit later on. They will also be available on the Patreon alongside all of the rebuild files, but as I said, we'll get into that later on because we need to touch on some of these mental transfers like Arnaud Calimendo at the club, a player from Rennes with great speed, finishing, composure, determination, a very different striker to Chris Wood. And part of the thing that I think is going to happen this season, and part of the struggle with this Forest side, is going to be how different this tactic is. Ange plays a very high line. He likes to play the offside trap, compared to Nuno, who very much would play a standard line with a mid-block. Very different to Ange. So this team is going to have to completely change the way it's playing. So centre-backs, Milenkovic and Murillo, who are unbelievable at defending their box, are going to have to start learning to play on the halfway line, which is a very, very big change for a couple of defenders. In terms of their wing-backs, I actually think they're ready-made for this system. Ola Aina can do the inverted wing-back role just like Pedro Porro, and Zinchenko, well, he is basically an inverted wing-back and has been his whole career, so he is not going to struggle with the Destiny Edozie either. Now, of course, on the bench, we've got Nico Williams, who is going to be the exact same, can play that role, and new signing Nicolas Savona can also play that role. Almost like Edu and Maracanaris had it in their head that Postecoglou was going to join the club. I'm not doing any conspiracy theories out here whatsoever. Mr. Maracanaris, I'm sorry. Mr. Maracanaris, we love you, Mr. Maracanaris, all right? Douglas Luiz in DM as a deep-lying playmaker and defend. Only a loan deal. Hopefully we'll be able to bring him back at the end of the season. I've got him in that base of the defence, sitting with Williams and Savona, bombing on past him with a defensive 2 behind him. Gibbs White and Anderson, I think, are going to absolutely excel in this system as well. Anderson gives me like James Maddison vibes, and Gibbs White, well, he could be like the Lucas Bergvall, or even the other way round, one of them dropping deep, one of them running on. On the right wing, Dan Ndoye, fantastic player, has started really well to his Forest career. I think that's one of the weirdest things. Forest haven't looked that bad this season at all. I mean, yes, they're not perfect. Nuno isn't perfect, but God, he deserves to have kept that job. Getting him to European football for the first time in however many years and to be booted out is heartbreaking. Hudson-Odoi over on the left wing, again, will do fantastic in this system. Ndoye and Hudson-Odoi keeping the wings. That's very weird. Ndoye and Hudson-Odoi. Never noticed that. And of course, up top, the options are difficult. Now, there is no way we can ignore the man, the myth, the legend that is Chris Wood, okay? But Chris Wood does not work in a Postecoglou system, in my opinion. I would love to be proved wrong. This guy scored 22 goals from a 13 XG last season, showing that he was scoring chances that weren't really meant to be scored. He is a goal scorer. He is a natural goal scorer. But what he's not is a big pressing forward, like a Dominic Solanke. FM says he's got great teamwork and work rate. I don't think he's going to be the pressing forward that Ange goes with. It's so different to what I think he's used to playing with. And I'd love to see some sort of merge of the two. I really, really would. But on Football Manager, I'm not sure it's going to work. In real life, it very well could, and I hope it does. Up front, of course, we've also got the option of Jota Silva. Could be that guy. We've got Igor Jesus, who's a brand new striker to the club. One from, I believe, Botafogo. They've signed loads of players from Botafogo. I wonder why, Mr. Maracanaris. I'm not questioning you at all, though. So you know, big fan. Callum Wendo, of course, could also be that pressing forward, much of the 5'9", smaller type, getting on the end of balls and scoring goals. I just don't know if Chris was going to be that guy. I would love him to be. I'm not going to be surprised if he doesn't, especially here on Football Manager, because I'm not going to be locking anyone into their positions whatsoever. I'm going to be letting the game and Mr. Americanaris, the king that is, decide who plays where, and we're going to be locking it into the assistant manager, which of course isn't actually Mr. Americanaris, although it is Mr. Americanaris. It's Rui Pedri Silva. I'm going to stop saying his name now. I'm sorry if you don't get the joke. Watch the Morgan Gibbs White thing. You'll understand it. Financially, though, Forest are very rich because of Mr. Americanaris. And we are looking very good in terms of transfers. I'm not making any more in this summer window because obviously the window is closed. And this is the team that Ange is going to pick up and see what he can do with. In terms of the schedule, it's quite a nice one. Burnley, West Ham in the first month of August, Liverpool as well at the City Ground should be an easy 5-0 win. They're absolutely rubbish. And of course, I believe we have got European football as well, which will get drawn at some point. I'm not sure if they're in the Europa League or Conference League. I can't remember which one they're actually meant to be in. There's so much kerfuffle with it, but I think they're okay in the Europa League. I think that's legit. I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, that should start off very soon in real life as well, which is exciting. And I'm rambling. So let's get straight on into the first season with Nottingham Forest, with Ange Postecoglou's bonkers tactics, and see what happens. Hopefully, it's a great success. And if you guys are enjoying the video, make sure you are smashing that like button and subscribing, because around 70% of you are not subscribed, and we're looking to get to 20k subscribers by FM26. So smash that subscribe button because we are all very hyped for new FM26. And I also want to talk to you guys about MFL, which is a game that I've been playing to replace my FM25 needs. It is effectively an online football manager where you get to test your skills against other online managers with a bunch of basically regens in the game, which is fantastic. There's 83 people that have already signed up. If you are one of them, you can still get the rewards. There is a code on screen, also down in the description, 348655, which is a referral code, which when you sign up and you spend $25 or more, you get yourself access to a free player, which could be an absolute legend, like one of the guys that I got, who I spent $2.50 on, but could easily be someone you get out of that pack, like Victorio Andrade. He has gone up, I think, 11 since I've had him, which has been absolutely mental. It's like having a new gen who's a half-star player go up and up and up. Players in MFL are not capped in their potential, and they can go up to absolutely anything, which is fantastic. So if you sign up, spend $25, you could have the next Lionel Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo in your hands. The link to that is down in the description. And thank you so much for MFL for sponsoring this video. Now, we said we'd beat Liverpool 5-0 to kick the season off. That's not what happened. We drew 1-1 and Alexander Isak scored, but that's a pretty decent result. As was the 4-1 smashing of West Ham away from home in the third game of the season. It was a brace from Jota Silva and a brace from Douglas Luiz in this fantastic game. And Jota Silva seems to be the star man up top for us this season, which isn't what I expected, but we'll certainly take it. Having a goal scorer up there that can grab us 15, 20 goals will be essential to us getting back in Europe this year. And actually, we started off fantastic this season. Despite the loss to Burnley and the draw to Liverpool, after that West Ham game, we got cooking. An unbeaten run in September, beating Brentford, Palace, Everton, and drawing to Leeds. We did lose to Spurs, but beat Chelsea, Newcastle, drew to City, beat Bournemouth, beat Brighton, and then December happened. And things just kind of went wrong. Despite beating Aston Villa, we lost to Wolves, Fulham, Manchester United, and Liverpool, and ended up finishing in mid-table for the first half of the season. We were looking to make it better in the second half, but sadly that didn't happen. And mid-table is effectively exactly where we finished. 57 points in 9th place, clear of 10th place, Manchester United, and only 4 points away from getting European football. But sadly, it is what it is. We'll take it. It's a season without Europe, which Forest fans I know might seem like a little bit of a downgrade, considering what has just happened with Nuno getting into Europe, bringing in Postecoglou, finishing down in 9th with no Europe is a little bit of a stinker, but it could be a lot worse. Because I do think the way that Forest progressed to the next level, and I kind of get the argument of the fact that Nuno gets you from A to B, but can he get you from B to C? We saw with Spurs, that wasn't the case. Postecoglou, on the other hand, despite having a pretty awful record in the league, he can get you from B to C. I think he's a fantastic manager. I do think his high line is a little bit crazy, but he's a little bit crazy. And I think that's why I really like him. I think he's a very charismatic manager. And I think with this sort of system, he really can help a team get from that B tier to the next level. And of course, the next season, he always wins trophies in year 2, so I expect to win a trophy in season number 2. But this is the system. We'll go through it for you guys. I'll click through each individual position, of course playing with his inverted wing backs on support, his defenders covering off, one dribbling more, one staying wider, deep lying playmaker sitting deep, the 2 midfielders, advanced playmaker dribble more, roam for position, tackle harder, Mezzala on attack being nice and aggressive, Dan and Doy cutting in but sitting a slightly deeper, while Hudson and Doy stretches the pitch, also cuts in, and Jota Silva up front, shoot more often, roam from position, tackle harder, in possession, nice and quick, nice and short, underlapping runs, focusing the play down the wings and running at the defence, while also playing extremely wide and having low crosses, in transition, counter press, counter, and out of possession, the much higher defensive line, the high press, the step up more, the stay on feet, the press to absolute high heaven. And the system works really well. In terms of our data hub, we scored 1.5 goals a game, but conceded a few too many. So I wonder if, exactly like I kind of mentioned, the defence is going to struggle with this change to being the high line from being the sit in the box and defend. And could Matt Sells be the sweeper keeper? Or maybe not. He's not got the greatest stats for it here on Football Manager, and it's something that I'm certainly going to consider. The centre-back partnership, do we need a slightly faster duo? Murilo's got that pace and is left-footed, but Milenkovic, could he be improved? And the wing-backs, well, Zinchenko I'm probably not going to end up signing. Savona I think is really good, and maybe we need a better left-back to replace Zinchenko in that role. Douglas Luiz, I hate to say, does not want to join the club. £27 million would be all it takes, but he is not interested, which is a real shame. So I've got to go out and get a better defensive midfielder. He dropped a 6.91 this season, which is really good. And in terms of goals, Jota Silva grabbed 16. Elliot Anderson grabbed 14 and 6 assists. Hudson-Odoi, 15 assists, which is brilliant. Morgan Gibbs-White also 14 assists, much more the creative outlet for us. Dylan Bakwa is someone which I want to keep an eye on as well. 10 goal contributions, a 6.91, a brand new signing to the club, and looks really good, really quick, great dribbling, very aggressive, and looks to be really good in the game as well. And highest average rating, that one ends up going to Hudson-Odoi, Nicolas Savona, and Gibbs-White as our front three. Now, we've not touched on other competitions because they didn't go very well. We got quarter-final in the Europa League by Olympique de Marseille. FA Cup, we were third-rounded by Arsenal, and Liverpool quarter-finaled us in the Carabao Cup. So, no trophies in season number 1, and certainly some positions to improve. As mentioned, goalkeeper potentially, striker almost definitely, because I don't see Jota Silva being that guy in real life. And if Chris Wood's going to just drop 5 goals for us, and Igor Jesus is not going to score a single one, and Callum Wendo is only going to score 6 in 8 starts, there is certainly a need for a brand new striker. Someone else which hasn't quite gelled into the system in James McAtee. I'll be keeping him in and around the club as a rotational player and hoping he gets better as we progress through the rebuild. Now, obviously, in these full realism rebuilds on these updated database, you do have to bear with some of the players aren't as good as they maybe should be in real life, despite having updated current ability and potential ability. It's just something you have to deal with when doing these simulations, especially when we're trying to get them out as quick as we are this one, because the news is only just broken and we're dropping the video straight away. So if you rate that, make sure you're smashing that like button. But let's see what I think the first transfer window will look like under Ange Postecoglou. Well, to me, the issues were quite clear. Goalkeeping, centre-back, and a brand new striker. And in goal, I have brought in Postecoglou's signing for Spurs, Antonin Kinski. Now, this might be a bit of a random transfer, and people might not think this is realistic at all. But this guy's got fantastic ball-playing ability, unbelievable area reach and jumping reach, and he rushes out 18 out of 20. And he's extremely consistent. He's 23 years of age and suits the exact way that Postecoglou likes to play with his goalkeepers. And I'm very confident this guy can be our number 1 for the rest of the rebuild. Now, that comes with a whole host of outgoings as well. Sangare, Jota Silva, Morato, Igor Jesus all went off to Saudi. Chris Wood and John also left the club. Interesting enough, John went and joined Spurs to be their new backup goalkeeper. So we've swapped in that department. But overall, a bunch of outgoings raising over £90 million. But I don't want to go crazy in transfers because Forest have done that. They've brought in all their brand new players, and I don't want to do a full realism rebuild and replace them all because, well, that wouldn't be very fun at all, would it? So I brought in Presnel Kimpembe as a free agent deal to come in and join the club. A fantastic free agent deal as well, if I say so myself. 30 years of age, 6 foot tall, great tackling, determination, good enough speed to play this system while being consistent and playing in big matches, and is very used to playing in that high line Luis Enrique style. Crystal Palace ended up being relegated down to the Championship, so there were some bargains to pick up. Well, I tried to bring in Jean-Philippe Mateta. I wasn't quite able to, so we move on to a different striking option, where I've brought Matthias Tell to Nottingham Forest, someone which is not included in Spurs' Champions League squad, which I can't imagine him being very happy about. He doesn't seem to be the flavour of Thomas Frank, and well, he was obviously the flavour of Postecoglou. He got the transfer through the door, he got the loan deal done, and now I can see Tell wanting to go and re-partner up with his former manager at Nottingham Forest. Great speed, determination, flair, finishing, composure. Being 21 years of age, will he play off the left-hand side, or will he be our star striker? I've brought him in to be our striker, to learn that pressing role as the advanced forward in a Postecoglou system, and I think he's going to absolutely thrive there. But we did manage to get one player from Crystal Palace, and that was Tyrick Mitchell to come in and be our left wing-back. Of course, playing on that inverted wing-back on support role suits him down to a T. He's 5'9", great tackling, great first touch, passing, determination and speed. Good on both feet with elite consistency, and cost us just £17 million because of a release clause. And then my final signing is Ao Tanaka coming in from Leeds. Now, Leeds managed to stay up in the Premier League last season, so fair play to them. But I've got them poached. They're good old defensive midfielder in Tanaka. This guy, I think, is going to suit this system again down to a T. He is fantastic on the ball, but I love his work rate, his teamwork, his stamina, and he brings that real energy into the midfield while also having the ball playing ability. Also consistent, also loves big matches, and cost me £47 million. But I do think he massively upgrades our midfield, considering we couldn't bring back Douglas Luiz. Now, the team looks a little bit different from how it looked last season. Same tactics, but new players. Kinski, Savona, Milenkovic, Murillo, Mitchell, Tanaka, Gibbs-White, Anderson, Ndoi, Hudson-Odoi, and Matthias Tell up front. I think this team is absolutely fantastic. And of course, rotation-wise, we've got no Europe this season, but we've got a club which looks like they're about to play Europe. Matt Sells, Ola Aina, Kimpembe, David Carmo, Nico Williams, Ryan Yates, Cabiano, James McAtee, Dylan Bakwa, Amari Hutchinson, and Callum Wendo, all as the rotations. Amari Hutchinson, again, someone which just is rubbish on Football Manager, sadly. Despite being worth £77 million, he just does not get played much in the rotation. And when he does, he's just not very good. 20 games, 1 goal at 6.75. A little bit of a shame for him. And with these wingers, I think he will struggle to get game time here, especially because Dylan Bakwa is also absolutely fantastic. Callum Wendo is going to be a great rotation for Matthias Tell, but again, we are not locking anyone in to the system. They're going to have to learn that rotation is going to happen in this squad. We are in the Premier League, Carabao Cup and FA Cup, and we are predicted mid-table in the Premier League. Now, it's always said Postecoglou wins trophies in his second season. Can we make that happen here at Forest? And well, I can't believe it, but we lost in the Carabao Cup semi-final to Bournemouth, which was our chance to win a trophy. They ended up going on to lose to Arsenal in the final, but this was our chance, and sadly, we missed it. In the FA Cup, we lost in the 5th round to eventual finalists Chelsea, who lost to Newcastle on penalties. And well, of course, we didn't win the Premier League, but my God, did we have a good season. Up into 7th place, 65 points, a positive 22 goal difference. And Matthias Tell absolutely cooked in this system. 26 goals, playing as our number 9, 30 in 43 in all competitions, was an absolute menace to Premier League teams far and wide. Being 6 foot tall, having that pace and finishing is just so good on Football Manager. Consistency, good in big matches, and is now a 4.5 star ability player, which is unbelievable. And what a fantastic signing for £55 million that has turned out to be. But he wasn't the only star performer this season. Gibbs-White matched up with Luke Shaw at the top of the assist charts, and Dan Ndoi was joint in 2nd place with Kara Matoma. In terms of goals, we scored the 2nd most in the entire league with 81, and conceded, we weren't there, because this system, you are going to concede goals. Once again, 1.55, but scoring 2.13, showing exactly like Spurs were. This Forest side is at least fun to watch. We score lots of goals, we concede lots of goals, but my God, is it an absolute journey. Now in goal, Kinski was very decent this season, considering he was a 2-star player. A 6.85 will certainly take that, and his stats really suit the system. I'm not sure if he's going to be here long term. I hope so, because I kind of picked him out as a bit of a random one. Of course, Matthias Tell absolutely smashing it. They've picked the best 11, which a little bit weirdly, to be honest. I would definitely say it was much more played a little bit like so, with Hudson-Odoi on that left-hand side was elite this season once again. Dan and Doi on the right-hand side, fantastic. Midfield trio going off. Defense being much better as well. Average rating-wise, 7.17, 7.16 and 7.14 for our top three. Anderson, 18 goal contributions. Hudson-Odoi, 18 goal contributions. And Tanaka, sitting at the base of the DM, 7.01 and 9 assists is brilliant. Callum Wendo, off the bench, also scoring 12 goals in just 3 starts, is really, really good. And exactly what we needed from our rotational striker. And of course, we are now back into Europe. It is the Conference League, but if we win it, is a competition ticked off. And maybe Ange wins stuff in his 3rd season. Maybe his 2nd full season. Maybe that's what he means. His 2nd full season is where Ange wins stuff. So let's see if we can make that happen and which transfers we're going to make to get there. Now, transfers-wise, there was only 2. I'm looking to improve the base of midfield and the centre-backs and rotation options. Bashir Humphreys comes in from Burnley for 17 million. And a brand new wonder kid onto the game from KRC Genk. Mate Schmetz comes in as a new defensive midfielder. Again, just a rotation with Ayo Tanaka. This guy's got 4-star potential, 23 years of age, a Belgian capped international, and looks really, really good. I think he'll potentially start ahead of Tanaka, but both of them are going to play lots of games. And the same for Bashir Humphreys. Could potentially start next to Murillo. Got the pace to play in that role, which is why he came in as that centre-back. And overall, I've not improved the team too much. They're a team built for Europe already. We had a year out, we got back in, and now it's time to go and win the Conference League. I always say this competition is so easy to win. I just really hope we actually win it this year, because ever since I've started saying that, we've won it a lot less. So now it's time to put the rumours to bed. Kempi is not a washed manager. He is a Conference League champion. Or should I say Ange, not Kempi. Well, kicking things off in the league phase, we were quite good. Top of the league, 6 wins out of 6 games, 5-0 against Zalgiris, 3-2 against Sparta Prague, 3-1 against Kiev, 3-0 against Beitar Jerusalem, 4-1 against Başakşehir, and 5-0 against HJK, which obviously means we're going straight into the round of 16. And we'll certainly take that, because that is a dominating performance. There is some big teams in this competition. Atletico Madrid, Wolfsburg, most notably, are the 2 big ones. And if we can dodge them, I'm pretty confident we'll end up winning it. In the round of 16, we faced up against Hajduk and managed to beat them 4-2 on aggregate. And the first leg was away from home, where Matthias Tell showed what a star he was, grabbing 2 in the first leg. The quarterfinals were played up against Toulouse, where we were not predicted to lose. We were actually the heavy favourites for this game, and there was good reason for it as well. Now, at the City Ground, it was a boring 0-0 draw, but here at home, actually, the first leg was a 0-0 draw, away from home. The second leg at the City Ground, where the fans turned up, was not a boring game whatsoever. It was 2 already in the first half. Tanaka then found Ndoi on the edge of the box, curling it back to Savona, who fires one into the top corner to make it 3. And we grabbed a 4th. We did concede too late, but ended up winning this game 4-2 and zooming straight on to the semi-finals. We managed to face up against Rakow from Poland, which I've got to say is quite a favourable draw. We played quite a heavily rotated side in both legs and won 4-0 on aggregate, which means we are now in the final, and we have so far dodged Atletico and Wolfsburg. But in the final, it was the latter we were facing up against, the mighty Wolfsburg, and they took us all the way to extra time. But by the time we got there, we managed to put them to bed. Matthias Tell, this time playing off the left-hand side, a great mazy run and finish before finding Amari Hutchinson, a ball back to Hudson-Odoi, and Callum Wendo getting his name in the Forest history books makes it 2, and a 3rd as well in this one, as Callum Wendo scored once again, solidifying himself as a Forest legend and Forest winning another European Cup. This time the Conference League, not quite as good as the Champions League, but we have successfully made Forest European champions in this rebuild, which I've got to say is pretty successful. Callum Wendo this season grabbed 10 goals in 13 starts, and again is a really good rotation option, but he is again a bit aggy and kind of wants to move on to the next stage in his career. Matthias Tell, however, is going absolutely nowhere. He is now club captain at 23 years of age. He leads the line up top and leads the line in the dressing room. 14 goals in the Premier League this season and 11 in 7 starts in the Conference League, being absolutely dominating and a pretty good signing, it's got to be said. Now, in terms of our Premier League campaign, obviously playing all of them extra games did prove a little bit difficult down in 10th place, but still positive points, 56, positive goal difference, +2, and still a goal-scoring machine. And not quite as many as last season, actually nowhere near as many as last season, and conceded still pretty poor. Actually, the Premier League was pretty awful. We had our best conceded per game ratio this season, but our worst goals per game. Must be due to all of the extra games we played. But that does mean we are going to be in the Europa League next season, which is fantastic. FA Cup, we got all the way to the semi-finals and lost to Manchester United, and Carabao Cup lost to Liverpool in the 4th round. In the Premier League this season, interesting enough, it was Aston Villa that won the league under Marco Rose. If you know anything about FM, you know Marco Rose is the bane of everyone's life because this 4-2-2 is the most annoying thing in the world, and then sadly he's come to the Premier League. So I don't know if in this 5 seasons we're going to manage to win the Premier League, because Villa are so good, Liverpool are so good, City are so good, Chelsea are so good, Arsenal are so good, United are always good on FM. Now have big Steve Torpey in charge as interim manager. Be interesting to see who ends up going there, and I'm not sure if it's happened just yet in this save point, but Newcastle are about to get Pep Guardiola in charge. So the Premier League is absolutely mental at this point, while Unai Emery is in charge of City. So winning the Premier League is going to be tough, but there's one man that can do it. It's big Ange Postecoglou. And now that we have won our European competition, we are going to be ruthless in terms of transfers. We are going for the Premier League and looking for the best players only. So Mitchell, Tinsky, Hutchinson, Carmo and Callum Wendo are the big sales of this summer. Well, the incomings, we go for pure quality. Paulo Dybala joins the club as our backup striker, replacing Callum Wendo. I'll be gobsmacked if this guy doesn't do better than him in terms of goal scoring. But the main man leading the line is going to be Santiago Jimenez. He's got 16 finishing, 16 composure, 87 games at AC Milan, never really becoming a superstar. But can he do it in England at Nottingham Forest? Which of course moves Matthias Tell out to his favoured left wing position, which gives us a really strong three up top in Ndoye, Tell and Jimenez. In terms of the left back, obviously Tyrick Mitchell is gone and I've replaced him with Bradley Loco from Brest. And in goal, we've brought in Bart Verbruggen, transfer listed by Brighton, maybe because they were relegated? No, they weren't. He had a £38.5 million release clause, maybe to clubs in Europe, which obviously we are this season. Is the perfect goalkeeper for this system. Great at rushing out, great at ball playing, great in terms of saving shots, and of course, elite consistency. I'm a big Bart Verbruggen fan, and I would love to see him here at Forest with the mighty Ange Postecoglou. Now, this team, I genuinely believe, is built to go out there and attempt to win the league. Jimenez, Tell and Ndoye is an elite front three. Anderson, Gibbs-White and Smets is a fantastic midfield trio with Loco, Murillo, Milenkovic, Savona and Verbruggen in goal. But the backups is where I'm really impressed. Angus Gunn, meh. Moreira, who's progressed really well as an inverted wing-back, is a great rotational right centre-back. Kimpembe and Bashir Humphreys, unbelievable. Nico Williams, unbelievable. Tanaka, Ryan Yates and James McAtee, fantastic backup midfield. Right wing, we've got, of course, Hudson Odoi. Left wing, we've got Dylan Bakwa. And up top, mighty Paulo Dybala. Now, this team, I believe, would finish mid-table in the Premier League. The first team, I genuinely think, can challenge for the title. So let's see if we've given Postecoglou the transfers he needs to get this Premier League to Forest. Well, it was certainly our best Premier League campaign yet. We went unbeaten in the month of August before sadly going on a 4-game no-win streak against Chelsea, City, Liverpool and Palace. But when we faced up against Arsenal, we won 3-1 and that ignited a spark in the lads. Unbeaten in November and nearly unbeaten in December despite the 2-0 loss to Spurs on Boxing Day. But a fantastic first half of the season. We only lost 4 games for the entire first 19. And despite a ropey start and the back end of January, we had a fantastic finish to the season as well, particularly in the last few months, winning every game in March, every game in April, but only conceding 2 goals against Burnley. The rest not conceded a single one. And in May, we won every game and drew to Spurs 1-1. And that firmly put us in the top 4. For the first time in this rebuild, Postecoglou has taken Forest to a top 4 spot. We have top goal scorer Matthias Tell at the club as well. 31 goal contributions, 11 assists over the entire course of the season. Of course, is wanted by huge clubs like United, Bayern, AC Milan. But Matthias Tell is going to go down as a Forest legend. And that partly will be down to this Europa League run as well. Of course, we just won the Europa Conference League and now we're in the Europa League, another unbeaten league phase. An incredibly easy round of 16 against AEK set us off to the quarterfinals, where we beat Rennes 6-1 in both legs to win 12-2 on aggregate. But we knew the semi-finals were not going to be so easy. The first leg here against Lazio was a 1-1 draw, but we took it back to the City ground and we looked to dominate, to try and get to back-to-back European finals. Jimenez, a great start, 1-0. Dan and Doy, an even better start to the second half with 2-0. And a third came as well as Murillo, a bicycle kick cross. Absolutely mental. Finds Smets in the box to score to make it 3-0 and send us to that final. Well, we faced up against French side Nice and we were just simply dominant. From the very start of this game, we showed we were dominating and we were meant to win. Tanaka found Gibbs White to make it 1-0 in 15 minutes. We zoom on into the second half. Bradley Loco, ignoring his inverted wingback rolls, finding a backstick cross, eventually down to Jimenez to knock it down to Tanaka to make it 2-0 and a third coming as Loco finds James McAtee, spins his man, finds Hudson-Odoi to find Da Silva Moreira with a wonderful long-range effort to make it 3-0, showing his inner Pedro Porro, exactly what we were looking for from an inverted wing-back, putting it in to the top corner and giving us another European final. It will turn out to be a simply fantastic, fantastic season. Another trophy won. Top 4 in the Premier League and the squad getting better and better. And I love how spread out these goals are. Of course, we've seen Matthias Tell dominate, but Morgan Gibbs-White, 18 goals, 15 assists. That is outrageous. And he's now the vice captain of the club with sadly no caps for England. And it's the same for Elliot Anderson as well. 24 goal contributions, no caps for England. Simply outrageous from Tommy Tickles to not pick either of them. Dan and Doy, 14 and 9. Jimenez, 17 and 4. Da Silva Moreira, 12 goal contributions. Hudson and Doy with 15. 13 from Dylan Bakwa as well. But the best players, of course, Matthias Tell, Dan and Doy, and Morgan Gibbs-White. Now, financially, there's not a lot left in the bank. We are completely down to nothing. Kelly Wendo is going to give us £23 million, but other than that, we have £20 million in the bank. And I want to try and make this team a Premier League winner, potentially even a Champions League winner in Season 5. I believe these tactics are good enough. They are fantastic. And a reminder, they are available down on the Patreon down below. £5 a month gets you access to everything we make on the Patreon, or £3 you can buy just these Nottingham Forest files. The tactic is obviously absolutely fantastic, where we have absolutely cooked so far 4 seasons in. But I want to make this team Premier League winners. I want to get Forest back to the top of English football. The last time they done that was 1978 under Brian Clough. Last time we won the Champions League, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they won it back-to-back around this time as well. But it's time to give them a Premier League. That is what the goal of this rebuild is. So let's see what we can do. Now, first up, we're going to add some title-winning experience to the side. The free agent deal of Andy Robertson to be a rotational left-back. Then a free agent deal with a powerful centre-back of Valdemir Anton coming in from Borussia Dortmund. Fantastic on the ball and good speed, still at 32 years of age. Elite consistency as well, so can play and dominate in every game. To save some money, we dipped into the loan market and brought Josh Ashimpong to Forest to be our backup right back. He had a good season last year out in the Championship. This year, backup right back, free deal, absolute bargain. Which meant we could raise £40 million on selling Eric Da Silva Moreira to Bayer Leverkusen so we can invest in 2 huge stars. Number 1 is Jayden Danns, a 23-year-old English striker coming in from Brighton after starting his career at Liverpool, moved there, and I've gone and splashed £55 million on him. Now, we done nothing last season at Brighton. Yes, I spent £20 million more. Yes, I'm confident. He's 6'2", good speed, good finishing, good composure, great off the ball work, and good consistency. And I believe he could be a real difference maker this season, either as a rotational striker or our number 9. And then Adam Wharton joins the club after his failed move to Manchester City. Very similar this one to Calvin Phillips, dominated at Crystal Palace, goes to City, does nothing, and we pick him up for just £35 million. And we know how good Adam Wharton is. He's absolutely fantastic. He is an elite midfielder, and he's probably going to come in here and absolutely dominate. Now, I've got him listed here as a rotational midfielder with this midfield for he's staying as our main. Tel and Doy and Jimenez staying as our front line with Loco, Murillo, Milenkovic, Savonia and Bart Verbruggen in goal. The defence backups, Ashampong, Humphreys, Anton Robertson is so strong. Tanaka, Warson, McAtee, wonderful midfield backups, and Adoy, Bakwa and Jayden Dans as our rotational strikers. This team is ready to win the Premier League. Last season, we came in third. We can put together the same sort of season. I now believe we've got better rotation options, more experience, the likes of Anthony Robertson, and a team with the ability to go ahead and compete in every single competition on this screen. So let's get into the fifth and final season of the Postecoglou Forest rebuild. And we are going to kick this fifth and final season off with the devastating news that we aren't winning a Champions League. We lost to Barcelona in the round of 16, 3-0 over 2 legs. That's not too bad. One of the best teams in the world. We managed to hold them 0-0 at the City ground, and then Lamine Yamal and his merry men came to us and dominated us. So sadly, no Champions League for Forest. I am also devastated to tell you the news that we won't be lifting an FA Cup trophy in this rebuild, or a Carabao Cup trophy for that matter, as we do not win one of them in 5 seasons. Our only 2 trophies so far are European. But can we change that and lift the Premier League? Well, we got off to a pretty good start. If we were going to win this league, we would have to get above 85 points, as that has won it every single year throughout this rebuild. Went unbeaten in August, but drew 2 games. Unbeaten in September, but drew to Newcastle, before winning every single game in October. Went unbeaten in November, and unbeaten in December and January, going on a simply ridiculous run to start the season. We actually had a chance of winning the Premier League, and I can't quite believe that. However, losing 5-1 against Manchester United, well, that's never going to help. And I mean, who loses 5-1 against Manchester United? We then beat Brentford 1-0 and then lost 4-1 to Arsenal. This team could concede goals. We could also score them. 4-0 against Villa, 4-1 against Bournemouth, 6-1 against Forest, Ipswich, and then lost to Brighton, drew to Spurs, lost to Chelsea, and on the final day of the season, beat Leicester. Out of the final 4 games, we picked up 4 points. Does that mean we bottled the Premier League? Does that mean that all of the fantastic work of Matthias Tel over the 4 seasons as rebuild was for nothing? No, it does not. As Forest win the Premier League for the first time since 1978, with Matthias Tel on a 7.39 average rating, 23 goals, and Postecoglou's Forest getting 86 points and winning the Premier League. We have done this all while using fully realistic Postecoglou tactics for what I think he'll be using at Forest. A pretty much bang-on system of what he used at Spurs. Inverted wing-backs going mental. Highest line possible on Football Manager with the step-up moron. And of course, an attacking trio built to go out there and score goals. And that's exactly what we've done this season. We were dominated by Matthias Tel, grabbing 30. Gibbs White, 15. Jimenez grabbing 14. And top assists was that man, Adam Wharton, saved from the clutches of Manchester City with 18 assists this season. This has been the Nottingham Forest Ange Postecoglou rebuild. We have completely turned the club around into one of the best teams in England. Well, the best team in England. If you enjoyed it, make sure you're smashing the like button on this video. Subscribe to the channel as we look to get to 20k subs by FM26, and I'll speak to you next time.